We are in Seon, Switzerland, the headquarters of Mammut. Today we are meeting engineers and developers of all the products that Mammut is making. We are gonna have some brainstorm about the new potential products, and we are going to do some lab tests of ropes, harnesses and Quickdraws. So I have here the harness. I think I've been using it since May.
Okay.
I think it's still pretty good.
I see that you put your rope on the left side of the belay loop.
Yeah.
We can clearly see for this shape slightly to the left. And that there is a bit of abrasion here. Looks like you've been using it
For everything.
Yeah.
I was even bolting with it.
Okay.
I mean, even though it's super light, it's relatively comfortable. So
Nice. So with this dummy right here, we will put the harness on the dummy,
yeah.
put it in our machine, and we're gonna pull it. We have different cycles. So it goes up to 15 kilonewton, it goes down,
Okay.
then it goes up again, goes down again. All of this is timed perfectly, and then we will make it explode.
All right.
The dummy is wearing the harness, we're connected to the belay loop, and there's no crossing on any side. So then we get to the computer and we start the test. We can see that the force is increasing, and then pretty soon we will see a part of the leg loops explode or just rip. Yes, so you see now at 600 kilograms we have some breakage in the leg loops. This is completely fine because we're only breaking the non-load bearing stitching.
Yeah.
So as you see also by colors, what is in this case orange is what is supposed to hold all the weight and the safety stitching. What else in this harness that was black was just to give you comfort and give you a feeling of the harness not being open. So now we're reaching our 15 kilonewton mark. So your harness was safe to climb.
Isn't it going to be the rope that breaks first? Not the harness.
No, we actually chose this rope.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
a 10.2, so it's really thick and tough. That's why we chose this one. You were correct. So Adam, you were right. You were right. Ah, you beat me. So if we inspect it, it is a bit burn. You can also feel it. And that's just by running through the metal buckles. The metal buckles look okay. There was no problem. Leg loops completely open, but not broken. You see? This is the safety.
That's just the comfort.
Exactly. So the safety stitching is all there. The top one looks perfectly nice. Nothing on it. But we have an open belay loop. And you see we were getting to touch the core of the belay loop, and this way without the protection, that's why it cut the rope. I would say if you have a belay loop looking like this, it's time to retire.
We have just done the test and we could prove that all the loops are basically like over the top. They're super over dimensioned. But the accidents can happen. There's one thing that is quite often to see, that people use a sling as a daisy chain, doing this, and that is dangerous.
If you do this, then you're putting a lot of load, at least your weight, plus a little more if you have gear, on the sling. The more you pull on this one, the more the sling chokes the belay loop. And that results into a much lower resistance to force, and that could not simply break the belay loop, but simply cut it. So you would eventually pull until the sling cuts the belay loop. The best way possible is to grab one of your carabiners, a specific one that you do not use against rock, and clip the top and the bottom loop. Then you would go and put your sling in, lock it safely, and then there you have it. So in general, every knot or thing that you do to your textiles that make them squeeze under a lot of force will eventually result in a cut. So maybe always have an extra carabiner
Yeah.
for this kind of situation.
The thing that you have to be really careful about is the abrasion.
Yes.
But the Mammut has this really smart thing that when you see the red color, which is inside here,
yes, exactly.
that is the information. You should stop using it.
Yes. Always in our user manual, we have a lifetime expectancy. So we define your use, which could be daily, once a week, once a month, occasionally. Then we give you an estimate of the time that the harness can be used.
Here we are in Mammut facility, and today we're going to test ropes on this drop tower. We have this 80 kilograms weight representing the climbers, and we will be doing a fall at full factor of 1.7, which is super harsh for the rope. You never experience this while climbing. The rope will be basically breaking here because this is where it touches, and this plate represents a quick draw. So the radius is very similar to what you have on a quick draw. The weight will basically go up higher than the plate and we'll drop it. So we will see the fall mass going down really quickly, and then the rope will catch it. And once this is done, we can look at the force and the elongation of the rope. This is really important numbers for us at Mammut and for the standards. And then the lift will come back, pick up the weight again at the height, and again and again and again until the rope's straight. Not everyone might know is that the rope is kind of alive, especially the dynamic ropes we use while sport climbing. So especially when you just hang, like let's say you're 80 kilograms, you hang on the wall, on the rope, and the rope stretches around 5% during this time, and of course when you go back on the wall or on the floor, this stretch goes back into the rope. This stretch also allows us to have this nice catch when we fall, and here we will be looking at 30%, so a big elongation of the rope that will always come back when the rope is not under load.
But it's more dynamic than I expected.
Yeah, exactly. We can see clearly the rope stretching and the weight coming back. The rope is absorbing quite a lot of energy. And we can see here the stretch is around 30%. So if you would feel this fall as a real climber, you would still feel quite bad. But
you would probably survive it.
You would survive it, and yeah, thanks to this stretching of the rope catching you slowly. We could see before when the weight went up the first time, the rope was kind of extended like this. After 2 falls, we can see the rope stretched a lot, and this is all the length it created just by the force applied to the rope and the elongation, the stretch of this rope.
So we always leave 5 minutes in between the falls, but if we waited a couple of days, it would stretch back much more.
Exactly, but some of it will stay forever. Here the rope should break at 6 or 7 falls because it always hit the same spot, so the rope gets really damaged. But if you, for example, switch side of the rope or fall, when you're outside climbing, you never fall on the exact same spot because you're one move higher or stuff, so you will fall on different spots, and then the rope will last hundreds of falls. The first fall was about 8.9 kilonewton and the second one is 10 kilonewton. So we can see the fall is getting harder.
Yeah, it's less dynamic, so it's harder.
Yeah. This 10 kilonewton would never happen outside. When you take, even if you take a huge whipper, you would see roughly between 2, 3, maybe 4 kilonewton at most. You would never experience 8 kilonewton. And if you do, you would feel really bad and maybe stop climbing for the day or for a while. So now we're looking at this old rope broken after all the falls it sustained. Actually, which is interesting, we can see here the rope got really flat, because it's always hitting this same spot over and over again with this really high force we talked about. The last fall was like 10.5 kilonewtons, which is huge. This is the other end of the rope, which was at the bottom, and so basically we can see it on tape. It broke right here. We can here look at the construction of the rope. The core are these white strands, and the sheath, which is orange and gray. And actually one of those, so this one, could hold statically 180 kilograms, which is already enough for you to just sit on it, sit on the harness with it. And we have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 like this inside the rope. That's something you can look for when you are just touching your own rope at the crag, just feeling it's softer than in the middle, and then you can think, okay, maybe this part of the rope is damaged, I should cut it or retire the whole rope.
Let's think we're at the crag and we want to cut our rope. So the best way to cut a rope in general is to always seal it afterwards. So this means with the heat cutter, the best way possible in a shop, but if you're at crag, it's good enough if you just burn the ends, therefore sealing the entire core and strand.
Yeah.
What is a really simple solution, if you don't have a lighter, if you have a heat cutter, is to grab a piece of tape, and let's say I want to cut out this part. So I take a little extra and I make it tight, and then possibly with scissors or with the knife, we try and do one straight cut in the middle of our tape. So really like this.
And now you would take a lighter if you have it
and burn it. It is really important that we kind of have, if there's no lighter, no way to seal it, that we have some tape to hold it in place, and especially that we get the nice cut in one go. Also with the knife, using it like a saw, it works, but it's not ideal. In the same machine that we tested the harness, we can also test metallics and the quick draw construction.
All right.
We have to do it separately because this is the standard way to do it. And right here, if you want to look at it, we have a used carabiner. As you can see, it's pretty worn out on the rope side, and also some marks on the bolt side. And the sling doesn't look really nice. They are rated for 26 kilonewton in longitudinal direction. And then we also could see how much it holds when it's gate open. So what happened, you can clearly see it's not the same shape anymore, right? So compared to the exact same one still used, it is completely different shape. It lost this shape on the back side, and of course doesn't close anymore because it elongated. This time it didn't explode, but this is also a fail for us. The rating that we saw was 28 kilonewton. So we had 2 kilonewton margin from what is actually declared on carabiners. And you could see also from the used one, it doesn't really matter. So metallics are much safer on the strength side. Then we could also test a used sling. As you see, this one is a bit used. It looks a bit dirty, which is also, we know, plays a lot of factor in textiles. We're gonna try and pull this used sling up to 22 kilonewtons. 22 kilonewtons is the norm for all slings. So since this is a static, we see that it started really slow and now it's really rapidly increasing because this product is designed to have no stretch. That's also why this component, it really needs to be paired with a dynamic rope. And now we're almost reaching 22, and you see, yes, just at 25. So what can happen with slings is that either like this, one of the parts touching the carabiner, kind of the weak point, is broken, or if the carabiner is really worn out, we could have all the stitching exploding. So again, when we have these products, it's really important not to expose them to direct sunlight, too much heat, or the mixture of water and sunlight. So if you had that on your rack of gear, would you use it? Probably not. But if you find it outside, can you trust it? Well, I would say that the general solution is to simply exchange it with one of yours. You found it there, giving one, if you can, to the crag, it's always nice. But at the same time, questioning the quick draws, especially fixed quick draws before you climb, is really mandatory.
So I think there was a really ton of super useful information that we can trust the gear, or actually we should trust the gear, because I think if you are scared while you are climbing, it's not really that much fun. On the other hand, it's not only about the gear itself, but it's on us. The human factor is the most common source of climbing accidents. So you should know how to use the gear, but also be present while you're either climbing or belaying. You should never get into some sort of routine that you just feel safe and you're not attentive anymore. So enjoy your climbing, try hard, but also stay safe.